story of who discovered America often starts with Christopher Columbus in 1492, but that story is far more complex and begins elsewhere. Just 5 years later, another explorer's journey would set the stage for an entire nation's creation. This is the story of Giovanni Caboto, John Cabot, and one of Canada's greatest historical mysteries. Where did he actually land? To understand this mystery, we need to go back to 15th century Europe. Giovanni Caboto was an Italian navigator from Venice, a city built on trade. At this time, the Ottoman Empire controlled the overland routes to Asia, making spices and silks incredibly expensive. European kingdoms were desperate for a sea route to the east. Inspired by Columbus's voyages for Spain, Cabot believed sailing west was the answer. But he took his idea to England. King Henry VII saw an opportunity. He gave Cabot a charter, a formal permission to sail across the Atlantic. The mission was simple but profound. Sail west, discover new lands unknown to Christian people, and claim them for England. The reward would be a monopoly on the trade that would follow. In May of 1497, Cabot set sail from the port of Bristol on a small ship named the Matthew. With a crew of only about 18 men, he sailed into the unknown Atlantic. The voyage was long and difficult. After about 35 days at sea, lookouts finally spotted land. This moment is the heart of our mystery. What did Cabot see? The primary historical records are scarce. We have fragments from letters written by Cabot himself and by others who spoke with his crew. From these fragments, we learn he described a land with a good climate, surrounded by deep water with tall trees and seas so thick with codfish that they could be caught simply by lowering baskets into the water. He reportedly went ashore with a small party, planted a banner bearing the cross of St. George, and claimed the territory for King Henry VII of England. He did not encounter any people, though he saw signs of habitation like cut trees and snares. After a brief exploration of the coastline, Cabot and his crew began their return voyage. They arrived back in Bristol in early August, greeted as heroes. Now, here is where the debate ignites. The descriptions in the surviving letters are too vague to pinpoint a location on a modern map. The phrase, land surrounded by water, could describe a peninsula, an island, or a bay. Because of this, several compelling theories have emerged over the centuries. The most widely accepted theory, supported by the governments of Canada and Newfoundland, is that Cabot landed at Cape Bonavista in Newfoundland. This has been the traditional view for a long time. Another theory suggests he landed further north in Labrador. Yet another argues he sailed south, reaching the coast of Maine. But the theory we are focusing on today places his landing right here, on the island of Cape Breton in Nova Scotia. So, what is the evidence for Cape Breton? Proponents of this theory point to several key factors. First, the geography. Cape Breton is an island which fits the description of a land surrounded by water. Its climate is noticeably milder than that of Newfoundland, aligning better with reports of a good climate. Second, the fishing grounds on the Grand Banks off Cape Breton are legendary, matching the accounts of unbelievably abundant cod. Third, there's the timeline of the return voyage. The journey back to England was remarkably fast. A landing in Cape Breton provides a more realistic starting point for this quick return compared to a landing in far northern Newfoundland. This combination of geographical and logistical evidence forms a credible, though not conclusive, argument for Cape Breton. It is crucial, however, to understand the scholarly consensus. Most historians, analyzing the same vague clues, still believe the evidence tilts more strongly towards Newfoundland, specifically the Bonavista area. This is based on a critical analysis of the primary source known as the John Day Letter. The true landing site remains an open question, a puzzle that may never be definitively solved. Regardless of the exact spot, the consequences of Cabot's voyage were immense. His return sparked immediate interest. The descriptions of the cod-rich waters led to an international fishery that would become an economic powerhouse for centuries. Most importantly, his claim for England provided the legal foundation for the British Empire's future colonization of Canada. The single voyage is why English, not French or Spanish, became the dominant language in much of North America. The monument you see in Cape Breton is more than just a marker. It is a symbol of that profound moment of contact. It represents a voyage that connected two worlds and set in motion the events that would lead to the Canada we know today. The debate over the exact location is part of what makes history so fascinating. It invites us to look at the evidence, to question, and to explore for ourselves. So what do you think? Does the evidence for Cape Breton convince you? Or does the traditional view of Newfoundland hold more weight? We would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this deep dive into a pivotal moment in history, please give this video a like. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next exploration into the past. Thank you for watching.